So what I've been using is basically sort of cream of leftovers. It's every type of filler I've got that's been kicking around spare for years. I just decided to use it all up on this. And we don't know in any great detail what the volcano looked like in terms of its topography over the between the cones and what have you. We've only got a limited amount of information to go on, but I'm doing what I can based on that. I should do a Jamie Oliver and get right down here, shouldn't I? One of the hard things actually when the filler is fresh, when it's just been mixed, I mean, is not leaving these annoying little quiffs when you lift up your palette knife. You can snap them off later, but this stuff is quite strong. People have asked me, do you make models as a hobby? And although it's enjoyable to do, no, I don't do this as, strictly speaking, as a hobby in its own right. I do it because I need things to use in the videos that I make, which is, was very much the story with the Smokeless Powder series. I made that miniature sort of building based on my workshop at the time. It was an old Ministry of Defence place, very dilapidated, constantly leaking as well. But I was going to use that in subsequent videos. I may yet, but I didn't make it just for the joy of making it. I made it to film, and that's, this will probably end up on display somewhere around the place, but I'm doing it solely because it's needed for this video, and I wanted to try and be able to convey what this thing looked like, because there's the same old pictures that you see, and there are relief maps and stuff, but maybe if it's something that you can, if not literally, you can at least see, if not touch, or you can see me touching it on video, it gives you a clearer idea of what went on. It gives you a bit of kind of context on which to base your mental imaginings of how it all looked and how it went down. Before it erupted and got destroyed, this actually was a really beautiful tropical paradise. It was a lovely island, apparently lush and green and teeming with life. And then within a week or so, maybe less than that actually, it was all covered in fine ash, and that was only at the start. This is acrylic paint, which is pretty handy because it sticks to a lot of different things nicely. Which is just as well because we've got multiple different kinds of filler on here at the moment. Not a lot of people know this, but the original island was actually constructed by local people from wood. Now, what's happened is I've realised that the slope is all wrong. It needs to be much, much gentler and further reaching and much more out towards the coast. So I've got more materials coming, but in order to try and provide some structure and decrease the overall weight of this model when it's done, and of course the amount of filler necessary, I've had to resort to doing this. So it's a little bit Heath Robinson, but I think it'll work okay because I'll put that fiberglass over this and then the other filler, so it'll be quite strong. It just needs to be properly anchored, which is what I'm working on now. Right, more materials have arrived, so we can continue work on this volcano. It's only a couple of days, but it felt like a week. I like, when it's required, I like using practical models for my videos, because, I mean, although I won't attempt to portray this as anything other than a model in the video, you know, I won't be trying to pass it off as a real island or anything like that, but I think that physical effects, practical effects, they give a film or a documentary something that CGI just can't. You know, we went through this love affair with CGI after Jurassic Park came out. You know, and you could see why. I mean, that film was incredible and it still stands up pretty well today, but suddenly, you know, we had this almost subgenre of films that were effects films, and that became tiresome pretty quickly. And the legacy of all that is that we now look at films and go, oh, well, it must be CGI, that's not a real helicopter, or, you know, that building didn't really blow up. And in actual fact, you then find out the filmmakers did blow it up. The one who's really keen as mustard on using practical effects is, of course, Christopher Nolan. More recently in Oppenheimer, where they recreated the atomic bomb just using massive explosions that they'd made themselves. Gosh, I would love to have been in on that set, I'll tell you. I can't help it, I find that sort of special effect work fascinating. This is definitely a Jamie Oliver moment. You know those times when you see all your carefully laid plans fall apart in front of you? This is one of those moments. I built this up too much. I realised that the angle before was way too steep, and now it's way too shallow. So I'm determined to get this as right as I possibly can, based on what we know about the volcano, even if it's the last bloody thing I do. Beginning to rue the day I ever learned the word stratovolcano. Oh, there's always one, isn't there? Can you imagine if a great big hairy hand came out of heaven with a chisel and started doing this to the real island? I imagine that the mythos surrounding this volcano would have gone into overdrive. Needless to say, the mess in here is beyond belief, but thankfully I've got a very capable vacuum cleaner. Well, as devastation goes, that is pretty complete, but it's enabled me, it's given me a chance I didn't have before. I've cut some gullies in here and there, which I can accentuate a little bit when I refill. So it's not been wasted effort. Right, well, there's been a lot gone on since I last filmed stuff here. I didn't think it was worth putting all of it on camera, because it's an awful lot of chiseling and dremeling and drilling and all sorts of stuff to get the flanks of this cone to be the right profile. And then I got some more milliput, epoxy putty, just the regular yellow grey stuff, arrived today, and I've rebuilt the top of the cone, and once it's all painted and everything, this probably should look quite good. I know I keep saying that, but it's, I think we're on the right track. Interesting fact about this eruption, one of many interesting facts, is that it's thought that not very much of the main eruption came from Krakatau here. The main action was down on the, well, up on the northern end of the island, coming from vents that had opened up on or between Perbuatan and Danang. And it's very telling that when the island collapsed, that it was that end that went, actually it was more than that, it was like 3/4 of the island from there downwards went, leaving just half of Krakatau. Actually I think it chopped off a bit of the cone as well. So to this day you can still go and see this half of Krakatau, but the rest of it's gone. The thing with this kind of setup is that you could quite easily faff around till Kingdom Come, you know, just fiddling and adding more details and taking stuff away and then re-adding it, and just drive yourself nuts. So there comes a point where I'll just stop doing this and then paint the ocean around it, and that'll be it. But the reason I'm going for a certain level of detail is because I want it to not be a distraction, perhaps, or at least enable people to understand what I'm trying to show them without the model itself being so bad that it's, you know, an embarrassment. What I'm trying to achieve with this is really to make the model as enjoyable to look at as possible, so that it complements all the other stuff that I'll be doing in the video. Bash that down again. I think this ocean has got steadily more white as I've gone around, but that's fine because there are going to be there'll be other layers going on. Oops, brush hair there. There'll be other layers going on top, so you know, this is really just the beginning as far as the sea is concerned. But I think the island is 95% there, which is nice. According to my usual pattern, what I've been doing is building up this ocean in layers. I've always worked well with acrylic paint because, you know, it doesn't dissolve when you add another layer, and that kind of layering, it's something I first discovered acrylics in school. This is back in the late 70s, and although painting isn't my primary thing, I've always remembered about this particular medium, I should say.